Let's hit the high road. Let's hit the high road. It's the first touch, strong connection. It lays deep in your soul. Feel the kindness strongly coming, 'cause you can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.
Hi, it's Nancy Yearout, and welcome to High Road to Humanity. And all the way from England, I have Debbie Sellwood here. And Debbie, welcome to the High Road.
Thank you, Nancy. It's wonderful to be with you.
I'm really excited you're here. Where are you exactly in the
Um,
UK?
I live in Hampshire, which is
Okay.
the southern part, not right at close to the sea, but maybe about 40 minutes away, so
Oh, I
not too
love
far.
it. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, you guys, she's written a wonderful book. It's called You Are a Frequency, and we are frequencies. And let me just really quick give you a little information about what we're going to talk about. She says a transformation in human consciousness is taking place, as many of us know, and it's generating a growing interest in how subtle elements of the human constitution play a part in the maintenance of our health and well-being. Now, You Are a Frequency introduces a new paradigm for health and healing based on the whole person, not the physical body on which traditional medicines focus. And I'm a real believer in this, so I'm really excited to talk to you today. And your book is very, very good. I will say that. But before we get into it, a couple things I want to talk about. One, thanks for everybody who's been taking my angel classes, and thanks for all the questions and the support. I really appreciate it. If you want to learn to connect to the divine, to the earth energies, and to your own guardian angel, I have a fabulous class. It's on my website. It's nancyyearout.com. Check it out. Also, you can pick up my book, Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You. You can find this at Barnes & Noble. I just relaunched it, so this is what it looks like if you're going to look for me on Amazon right now. The new book is coming out in December, and that is a guide to angel communication using spiritual law. So that's all I got to say about my little promo there for you guys. But I want to mention, and I've been doing this show for many years, and on the last couple of shows, I talked about the kids that are at the college campuses. And, Debbie, we're having a real situation over here. And we've all started to realize, because all of us are pretty sharp, that all these tents are all the same and all the signs are printed uniformly. And we've realized that, of course, somebody is backing this whole scenario. But today I saw it come across, and this comes from Fox, and I'll just read a brief part of it. But the headline is billionaire family bankrolling both anti-Israel groups and these battleground Democrats. And basically what they're saying is that this family and as in the Pritzker family, Pritzker. So it's Pritzker. I want to make sure I get their name proper. They have given to these organized anti-Jewish protests money, and that's one of the billionaire families who is they have founded the Libra Foundation. They're also they own the Hyatt hotels. So I want you guys to know who these people are because we need to know what's going on. What do you see over there in the UK? And that's all I'm going to say right now. But what do you see over there? Do you see this craziness happening, Debbie?
Not on mainstream media, no. But
Okay.
then
TikTok?
on different alternative media, yes. But we hear very little about anything else,
Really?
or I would about other countries. And
Really?
it's really, I think the understanding now is that I can speak for myself, but I get from other people is
Right.
that what we're told in the media anyway is not the truth. So it's best to check out other media's alternative media and then compare. Be very discriminating. Make up your own mind about what's going on.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's more than one family that's back in this situation right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it's this is part of I think a much bigger picture, but for another time, maybe a conversation.
I agree with you. I agree with you. Well, you're here to talk about frequency. And, I just want to say I'm really big on sound. I just had a guy on recently about music. I'm really big on the healing power of sound. This book, there's so much good information in here. I guess the first thing I want to know is tell us your story. Why did you decide to write about frequency?
Okay. Um, I've just backtrack a little bit. I didn't start off in this sort of area. I originally had a career in IT, and then I'm quite an analytical person, so I look at things and I research, and I like to understand. And my spiritual path was going along at that time as well.
Mhm.
But I decided I had a complete change, and I had been studying astrology for some time, and I decided to do that for my full-time occupation.
And I
And
should have read your bio. Yes, you guys, she is an astrologer. Sorry. My bad.
I That's okay. I studied with a sort of like quite a spiritual school, so that enhanced my understanding of things. And I think working with as an astrologer, and I also work as a flower essence practitioner, so I'm working with plant energies, helping people in whatever issues they have emotionally and thought thinking wise. I won't say mentally, because that's cast the wrong
Right.
message.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Imbalances, let's put it that way.
Mhm.
And I'm working with their emotions, and also as astrologer, I'm working with emotions as well, and feelings and thought patterns, and suppressed conditioning that what people can have as childhood programming that's not necessarily favorable. So all of these things are energies, are thoughts, and are emotions. So it was not a big leap to understand how this is affecting well-being on many, many levels.
Right.
And I already had an understanding of that we're much more than just a physical body.
Mhm.
So I think over the years, or the last recent years, I've sort of put my thoughts together, and I never really thought I'd write a book. I did write one book, which was quite some time ago, and that was a guide to buying or to using flower essences by using our astrological sign. So
Nice. Oh,
I hadn't
wow.
I hadn't written one for a while, just because of life. It just
Yeah.
hadn't. It was so I was busy, and
Mhm.
I didn't know whether I was going to do it again. But kept getting messages like, you will.
Were they nudging you to do it? Well,
Yeah.
I have to say, and I don't want to interrupt you because I love you telling your story, but there is so much good information in here. You did a lot of research for this book.
For years, it's just like I thought, what can I, bring it all together in some way. So I sort of started writing bits and pieces, and that's how often, if I am writing something, then I do write in bits and pieces. It doesn't just sort of flow from the beginning to the end, or the top to the bottom. It's just like a bit
Yeah.
here, a bit here, a bit here. And then during the COVID time, I thought, oh, why don't you just sort of put these words together and get some sort of format, and
Mm,
so how it comes together. So that's what I did, because I thought, well, I can't, I'm restricted, so I had more time to do something like this. So
mm.
after I started, then I thought, oh, you got to finish now. So that was it.
Yeah.
So but it's my just over the years, it's the information has just come in from various sources. I've read lots of books and to
Yeah.
understand more.
Yeah. Well, it's just amazing too. It's interesting because the same thing happened to me when I was writing this. It was because I was working in the real estate industry. I was a single mom, and I was learning to draw things to myself, is what my mentor told me. Draw the business to yourself. Well,
Yeah.
and that's the first thing I had heard about, that you could do that kind of stuff. And then affirmations, of course, and doing the work. And like you, it's so interesting that you're over there and I'm over here, and we're understanding the same things, that
Mhm.
people's emotions are energetic.
Absolutely.
It's
We are totally a
energetic.
energetic being, aren't we?
Yeah. Well, and you say every cell and molecule in the body has consciousness.
That's what I believe.
I
It
believe
makes
that
sense,
too.
doesn't it? Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense. And those cells that are listening, so we have to make sure that we give them positive feeling. They
Yes.
will they will obey.
Well,
That's
and
their
that's
job.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Your body does what you tell it to and what you believe and what you think. And it's all connected. It's really interesting because you say when operating at optimal frequency, the body is in perfect health.
Yes, it sounds right, doesn't it? It's
Absolutely. And I will say, and I don't want to get into, but I will say when I bring, since I've been bringing in the light through my crown chakra daily for many years now, I'm very healthy. And I don't get sick that I just don't. I very rarely will and I think because you're bringing in the energy, it's like you're clearing out. It's like we're these energetic beings that need to be plugged in and cleared. You know what I mean? That's how I feel.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's really important to bring in the light. People, not everybody understands that, but of course we, with these biophotons, we actually emit light, and our cells, we can't see it, but they've, I think it was Professor Pop, Fritz Pop, I write about in the book. He understood how this was happening, that cells were emitting light because that's the way they communicate, and we actually emit light as well. So it makes sense that we are light beings. So it's really
Mhm.
important to bring in the light, and it sort of it clears us, doesn't it, as well? It's
Mhm.
much harder to hold, if we have holding more light, it's much harder to hold dysfunctional emotions. Or what often happens with people is that they've been through traumas, and it's easy, you just hang on to it, don't you? You
Right.
just relive it.
Replay it over and over. And every time you replay it, your body replays it, huh?
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
your body's listening.
Yeah. 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 I
I,
think
I
if people could just realize that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Because I think even though I know it and you know it too, there are times where I'm like replaying something. I'm like, wait, stop. Because you're
Mm,
reliving it. You really are reliving it.
mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think the body is living in the now, whereas we are living in the past, aren't we? If we're reliving something that happened to us, it's
Right.
easy to do because we all have, ordeals and traumas, and, terrible things happen. But it's we have to learn that it's not in our best interest to hold on to them. We don't want to
Right.
hold on to our baggage. And as I understand it from an energetic point of view, we're not just a physical body, we are energy bodies as well.
Mhm.
And when we hold on to things or we reinforce negative patterns, that becomes imbalances in our energy bodies.
Mhm.
And we can't what we need to do is to that if that is reinforced over a period of time, then that could well result into a physical illness.
Right. Well, yeah,
So
I
not
wrote down, I love Buddha's comment, and you put it in the book. Every human being is the author of his own health or disease. I
mm,
call it disease because,
yes.
yes, because
Mm,
that's what it is, because we all have this etheric body. You talk about the etheric body in the book. You also talk about the mental body. And I wrote down another Buddha quote. All that are is the result of what we have thought, because we create what we are.
yes.
So if you think I'm ill, you will be ill.
If you go into a sort of a victim mode, that really it's, of course, it's understandable, and I
Yeah.
totally get it, but it's not helpful because
Yeah.
you're giving the wrong messages to your body.
Well, and it's about self-talk, and you touched on this a little bit, how we treat ourselves. And, it's just now that people are starting to realize that, we need to love ourselves in order to love somebody else, right?
Yeah,
And that's
yeah,
energetic.
yes, that is, yeah. But I
And
think what will happen in the future, hopefully, is that because we're understanding this a bit more, the responsibility will come back to us more than just sort of giving up our bodies to the medical system. I mean, sometimes I don't mean to sound, sometimes that's necessary, but a lot of the time, maybe it's we need to step back and say, hey, what have I contributed towards this? Do I need to look at myself first?
right. Oh, well, absolutely. Because everything, and it goes back to Louise Hay and her book
Yes,
on, you can heal your life. And every time I
yes,
get an ailment, I'll go back to the bookshelf behind me and I'll grab her book and I'll say, okay, what emotional thing is causing this?
mm-hmm.
And 95% of the time, that's it, isn't it?
It is. It is. I mean, she was wonderful. She was probably started this years and years ago, didn't she? I remember
Yeah.
buying the book
Yeah.
and thinking, wow, this is so useful.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I want to talk about something that really hit me. And there's a lot of good information in this book, and it's called You Are a Frequency: How Personal Vibration Influences Health, Well-being, and Development. It is by Debbie Sellwood. I want to talk about crystals
Mhm.
because I'm like the biggest crystal person. I keep my selenite right here, of course, on my computer. And, I've got a piece of it everywhere. And I've got crystals and they have energy. And we know that they run our computers and our watches and everything. But the cool thing that I read in your book, and I will let you tell the audience, and this is, I'll just say this and I'll let you elaborate. In 1996, Richard Gerber, MD, explained in his vibrational medicine that really we're liquid crystals.
That's right. Who could have
I was
guessed that?
shocked. I was like, "Whoa, that makes sense." Talk about this.
Well, there are other people. Obviously, there are a lot of people like Richard Gerber and other people I quote that have done a lot of research in this. But
Yeah.
we, our organs or certain organs in our body and of the fluids in our body consist of liquid crystals. And that's quite amazing, isn't it? Because we know how crystals can focus and transmit energy. And it all just makes such good sense. It really goes back to also, is it important that we program those crystals in our body? As we're just talking about, thinking positive and
Right.
letting the emotional stuff go. Is it that we're programming those crystals because that's where they're communicating, the communication system in our body is these liquid crystals.
And then that vibration goes out, that frequency goes out to the universe, and
Yeah.
then
Oh
the
yeah.
universe complies.
Yes. I
Quite
mean,
interesting.
as I understand it, the whole universe is just, we are living in a sea of energies, and we are taking in energies from the cosmos. Well, obviously from other people, we take in energies. But we are just living in this sea of energies.
Yeah, and the crazy part, and I just going to kind of bring it back to, what
Yeah.
really drives me nuts is that, I've had to go through all this, and you too, to figure this out because we're not taught this when
No,
we
no.
taught this like when we're little kids, how energetic we are, and that we're not just
Yeah.
these physical bodies,
Yeah.
how to connect and how to ground and all this cool stuff. And it's interesting that like you're writing this book and this will be left for the next generation who will learn this stuff. You know what I
Mm.
mean? That's the cool part about this. That's what's so wonderful about you writing this, Debbie.
Thank you for that. I think it is interesting because
Yeah.
I'm sure there are many people who know this, but this information, but for some reason we've not been allowed, we've never been, as you said, we're not taught it.
No, we had to figure it out ourselves. And I
Yes.
figured it out just like you. You figured it out through flower essences and through your astrology. I figured it out by the need to have business come to me, and I learned how to use the energy to create business. Yeah,
Yes, to
it's
manifest what you need.
yeah, it's crazy. Um, you also say in the book, and I wrote this down, so the late, is it Marcel Vogel? He
Mhm.
was a research scientist for IBM, and he became an expert on crystals and found the structure of the human energy field reveals the same properties of crystals.
Mm.
That to
Well,
me was another like aha moment. I was like,
yeah,
okay, yeah.
yeah. It's just explains such a lot to me, but really important information I think people need to know.
Well, yeah. So if we heal ourselves, and it really boils down to if we heal ourselves energetically, then we heal ourselves physically.
Exactly. Our consciousness, our energy bodies, our consciousness, our physical body is a manifestation of our consciousness.
Mhm.
So if our energetic bodies are in good shape, they are not full of rubbish emotions, and we're thinking positively, that consciousness has an effect on how we manifest physically.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. And the more, and it's a snowball effect too, because I've been on both sides of the spectrum, as we all have,
Mm.
you know, and I know the difference. And boy, what a big difference, because it just starts to snowball one way or the other, depending upon how your emotions are and how your physical, it's all connected, all of it.
Yeah. I think people who quite often, the positive thing about illness for some is that it's a teacher, isn't it? And it sort of
Mhm.
tells us something, and people often learn. They think, maybe I wasn't so angry, or I wasn't, this, that, or the other. Then they're learning from that, and that's helpful. As you say, emotions, anger is an energy, and not a very good one, and it can have dire effects.
Absolutely. But it can also catapult you.
It's positive energy.
Yes, it catapults you. I've seen this happen, and I can speak myself for it. It's catapulted me. I know, anytime we go through anything, it's how you handle it. It's how you deal with it. Um,
Mm.
Scientists believe, I wrote this down, believe all life, including human life, is liquid crystal. So even the plants.
Yes. That's what I believe from what I have understood and researching this.
Okay, so everything. Everything is
Yeah.
liquid crystal. Everything
Yeah, certainly
with a
water.
frequency.
Yeah, frequency. I mean, plants and animals, they have a subtle anatomy. They have the energy bodies, and
Right,
they emit, like us, they emit a frequency.
right.
So, yeah.
Interesting. I love it. Well, they say up in heaven you can see, because I've interviewed so many people who've had near-death experiences,
Oh,
and they say when you get up there, you can see the flowers vibrating, the frequency,
yeah, yeah.
which I think there's people down here who actually can see auras, can sometimes see the
Mhm.
plants.
That's
If you're
right.
that tuned in.
The plants are talking to each other as well. That's,
Yeah.
the wonderful thing. They're making sounds, and I've heard them on a particular machine. I can't remember what it's called now. The plant will make a sort of song, a
Yeah.
completely different one to another plant. So there's a lot going on there that we don't really understand, is there?
I
But it's
love.
energy. It's energy.
Yeah. Well, another thing you wrote about in the book that I wanted to ask you about is the seven rays of light. And
Mm.
I'll preface it with, I wrote down, according to ancient tradition, there are seven bands of light energy which enter our solar system from cosmic sources and parade and energize our planet and all forms of life on it. Now, I don't know so much about this. Talk to me a little bit in the audience about this.
Well, the seven rays have appeared in ancient religions, and it's mostly been researched and written about by people who are of a theosophical
Okay.
understanding.
Okay.
It's said to it's in uh, esoteric astrology as well. It's very important to the understanding of that type of branch of astrology. They It is said to power the ages. Say, like now we're in the sort of the last stages of the Piscean age. When I say last stages, it's probably quite some time yet, but we're the next age that's coming in is the age of Aquarius, and this is the rays are said to power these different ages. So
Mm.
now or since probably before the time of Christ, we've had the sixth ray, and now we are moving into slowly, because nothing ever, it's just like the ages, nothing sort of says, oh, stops now, next one. It's just like a sliding.
Slow process.
Yes, and this is typical of when we're in this position, is that one ray is going out, and all of the not so great things come to the surface to be shine a light on. And I definitely think that we're seeing that now.
Yeah.
The sixth ray has been associated with the religious wars, because it's a lot about spiritual understanding and devotion. But it's like we haven't always we've our interpretation of it is, there's always a good side and a bad side, if you see what I mean. But our interpretation of it is I think hasn't necessarily been that great, because we've resorted to religious wars. So I'm hoping that as we move into the seventh ray, that will be something of the past.
When will that happen? Because I thought, Debbie, that had already occurred, but it hasn't yet. When do we actually go into the age of
Well,
Aquarius?
it's always difficult to know. I'm not from what my understanding, it probably won't be until the early 2000. 2,200, no, what am I talking about? 2,160, something like that.
Oh,
So but this is something is a debate between astrologers. Everybody has different understandings, but it's not imminent. It will be some time yet.
I see. Now, since you are an astrologer, if you don't mind me asking, what do you see happening astrologically, globally? Do you see that? I feel intuitively that, of course, we have to go through the bad to get to the good, like
Yeah.
anything else. Unfortunately, everything has to fail before we start over. But what do you see astrologically? Do you see that things will get worse before they get better? Or
I think they have been pretty bad, haven't they? But I think again we're seeing a transformation, and the last 20 odd years we've had the planet Pluto, which is associated with transformation, in the sign of Capricorn, which is associated with businesses, governments, establishments. And what we have seen, and it continues now, is that they're breaking up, they're changing, they're being dismantled. And that's often Pluto has an element of finding out the corruption. So that's another thing that's why these are being dismantled. We've moved along now. We're moving into something better. And Pluto although we are not yet into the age of Aquarius, Pluto has moved into Aquarius, although it will go back into a Capricorn at the end of the year, but only sort of temporarily.
Right.
But the Aquarian age, the Aquarian energies are very different than Capricorn. And of course, one of the things that is important to me is that it's about energy. So that's one of the things that's associated with Aquarius.
Oh my gosh, I'm an Aquarius. That's probably why I wrote this book on energy. Are you an
Right,
Aquarius too?
yeah. No,
Oh
I'm not.
no, you're
I'm
not?
not an Aquarius, but I have certain, in our birth chart, we have certain
Yeah,
elements of
yeah.
different signs. So it's quite prominent, but I'm not an Aquarian.
That's so
But
funny.
we're likely to see lots of technology, energy technologies, because that's Aquarius rules technology as well. But Aquarius is about thinking more about the people, bringing the power to the people, rather than our past years, which we've been told what to do. There's that level telling us what to do. So the idea is that it will be more power to the people. But of course, you always have like a shadow side of things. So at the moment, we're not necessarily there yet, because I think we're having to fight for that, because
Well, yeah.
we're seeing sort of things imposed upon us that are not necessarily to our benefit.
And that's
But
globally. That's globally.
yes, it's globally, yes.
Yeah.
But with a hope that, that it will, I don't know exactly when, but we are moving through that, and it will be some time probably before we get a better balance. But it's a better future to come. But all these things take a while, don't they? There's so much.
Yeah, and I feel that way intuitively. Like I said, I think we have to go through the bad, but I do see the light at the end of the tunnel. How are things in the United Kingdom? How are things over there? Is it kind of the same where people are waking up and they're realizing that they're not so happy with how things are run, or?
I think so. From what I can assess, it's very difficult, because you don't, it's not something that mainstream media is going to be telling
Right,
you
it's the
what.
same thing, isn't it?
So I think a lot more people are realizing, we're not being told the truth here. And hey, this is not necessarily, we don't want to be fed that rubbish, because we know it's not going to be helpful to us.
Right.
So there is a lot of rumblings behind the scenes of people, and, far more expert people than me in sort of law and other fields, who are helping to assist us.
Right.
And I'm confident that we will get through it. Like the rest, as you say, this is a global thing.
Yeah, it really is. I want to go back to your book and talk about the healing aspect. Um, I feel like, and I want to know what you know, if you've talked to any scientists or through your research. I feel like instead of us going to the doctor and them asking what our symptoms are. I feel like we should almost just walk through a machine that checks out our aura and can
Well,
see the spots, almost like, if we're doing like a MRI or something to that effect.
yes, exactly.
What
I
do you
in
think?
in my I was always fascinated with she's an American doctor. She's passed now, but her name was Valerie Hunt, which Dr. Valerie Hunt, I mentioned her in the book.
Mhm.
And she did a lot of research on the human energy field. And her theory was basically that we can see they have sort of scientific technology that they can actually see our what we emit, or aura or energy field, whatever. And she said, which we've known probably for some time, that illness, we can see illness before it's actually going to manifest physically, because it's like a step down. If it's in the energy bodies, then it will if it's not resolved, then it will step down and manifest,
So
because it
they
will
see it out
vibrate.
here. They see it out
Yeah,
here.
they
Okay.
say it out here first,
Okay.
because it's not until it becomes a lower vibration illness that it will be manifest. It's like us. We vibrate to a very low, physical body's a low vibration, so it manifests physically. It's the same with illness. If it's there in the energy fields, but if it's, so we can see it, and so if it's left unresolved, then eventually it's going to become more physical, if you see what I mean. So
Mhm.
she said that health should begin in the field. If we have this information, that should be our diagnostic tool. So
Okay.
that's what you're saying. That's what you're
Yeah,
saying. Yeah.
that's exactly what I've felt this for years.
Yes. Yeah.
Ever since I started to work with energy, I felt this for years. And they
Yeah.
won't do it. And this is preventative. They won't do it
Yeah.
because yeah. You're just like, oh, pharmaceutical and doctors. I mean, what would the doctors do anymore, right? Well,
Right.
we still need them. We'd still need them. I mean, we have broken legs and things like that.
Sure.
But I mean, this would help people emotionally, physically, spiritually.
Yes.
They could see
Hmm.
it. They'd say, okay, what's your problem? We can work on this and we can get rid of it. And it never has to enter the body.
Hmm. But it's not really in the interests of the pharmaceutical company or those that are pulling strings around here. So we have to work harder to get, this technology.
So glad you wrote this.
Oh, it's so good to hear you say that. I'm so
I'm
pleased.
serious. I mean, well, truly, I mean, the more you can get the word out, because this is how, I understand that they want to downsize the population, just tell us to go to McDonald's and have a burger. It's just gotten out of hand. I'm so glad that you came. I'm sure you've had really great reactions from the book. When did it
Yeah,
launch? What's your launch date?
it was only the 29th of April. So it's only been
Okay.
just a month. Yeah, just
Okay.
over a month. Yeah.
So pretty good reaction, I would imagine
I
so
think
far.
so. Yeah, I was at a conference, and it was a flower essence conference, and somebody known to me, he's a GP, a general practitioner, and he's very interested in energy. And he had already read the book, and I had books with me that I was selling, and he said, "I'll take what you've got left,
Oh, yeah.
because everybody has to, I know lots of people who need to know this." So that was
Right.
really gratifying, because he's coming from the medical profession and he recognizes this. So it's good
Yeah.
to know there are people
Wow.
out there.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure. And what's coming up for you, Debbie? And let me just ask you really quickly before you answer that question. Do you have a website that people can
Yes, it's
ask
just
questions?
very simply debbiesellwood.com.
Okay, so it's SELLWOOD, you guys, DebbieSellwood.com. Okay. And then what do you have? What's in the works? What you got coming up next?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, this is my baby, so I've just given birth,
Well,
so
it's a good one.
I'm nurturing it.
It's a good one, you guys. It's a good
I'm
baby to have.
nurturing it and doing talks and writing articles, and trying to get the word out, really, because that's what you've got to do when you've got a book, haven't you? You've got to make
Absolutely.
more people aware. There's no point writing it if you're not going to do much to get it out there. So that's my nurture. I'm nurturing this baby now.
I love it. Well, is there anything you want to leave the audience with that would, help maybe people um with this, with their frequency, with things?
Absolutely. Well, I think one of the most important things is to keep your vibration high. And that means letting go of the stuff that we just talked about, anything that's detrimental, any emotions or negative thinking. Change the thinking around, create more positive thought, reframe what you have been through, and just create a more positive view of it. Try to live in harmony and peace. Now, that's a very hard thing to say because we live in a very, I think it's very unsettling what we are living through now, and it's
Yes.
very uncomfortable. We
Mhm.
have to try and sort of remove ourselves from that as best we can, and have our own, moments of joy and peace. And as you said, one of the important things is to bring in the light. And I
Mhm.
think another thing that I mentioned in the book as well is the feeling of gratitude for what we do have, although it might be quite tense right now. Gratitude is a really concentrating on that feeling and letting it expand is a really helpful thing. It's very uplifting. Being in nature,
Yeah,
all of those things are
all of
very
those
helpful.
things. Yes. Well, gratitude. Yes, it's huge. There's a lot of people that are less fortunate than myself or than you. And you start to think, you got to be grateful for the small things in life,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
know?
we will, and the more positive we are, the more that energy, flows out to others. So we will take, it's like the force is with us. So
That's right.
we will change things with that energy,
I love
not
it.
just ourselves or our health and well-being, but hopefully it will go out into the world and we will create a better world.
It
Because
does.
energy, we can do that with energy, can't we? If enough of us are aware, we'd be working on that level.
We'll do it. Yes, I agree. Let's do it. I'm doing it. I know you are. I'm sending out that good love and light to everybody today. Debbie Sellwood, thank you so much. You are a frequency. You guys, thanks for joining me today. Don't remember to check out my angel classes, nancyyearout.com. I hope everybody has a fabulous week and God bless.
Hold your head high, the world is coming. Watch the colors lift your soul. Connect the dots and keep the motion. Can achieve your goal. Let's hit the high road.